All right, we're back from the show. This is Sunday. Sunday, September 11th. It's 9/11. Didn't even realize that. Hard to believe that was, what, 21 years ago now? Holy crap. But anyhow, so we got back last night about 10 after 9. There was weather coming in. It's raining on and off right now. It's too little too late. The beans are already hurt, but it'll help the hay, so. But, picked this guy up at the flea market. Figured it was worth making a video on. This is actually, I call it a corn planter. You could plant more than corn with it, but that was its main purpose. You could plant sunflowers with it and a couple other things. But it's an American Standard number 31 hand corn planter. It was made, you can't read it, but I did some digging. And it was made by the Sheffield? I think it's Sheffield. Let me get this right. I got it pulled up on my phone. Yep, Sheffield Manufacturing in Burr Oak, Michigan. And I have not been able to find very much information on it. I know a guy that lives over in Burr Oak. I'm going to see if he can do some digging. See if he knows anybody locally, or if they have like a local historical society or something that can get me some information on it. But the few patent dates I was finding date back to the 1890s. So I'm not going to say this one's necessarily that old, but this planter mechanism for this particular planter was patented in there was an 1891 patent and an 1893 patent. So could be a little bit newer, a little bit newer than 1900, but I'm going to guess it's right around turn of the century. So to be in this good a condition and to still be able to read American Standard Planter Company, and the only part that's missing is you can read Burr. And now that I know what I'm looking at, I can see an O, but you can't make out, and then it says USA. But it is Burr Oak, Michigan, which is not all that far from here. It's over by where I used to work. So it's not too far from home. But the only thing it's missing is 100% fully functional, and the only thing it's missing is there's supposed to be a metal lid for this seed can. But and I'll show you how it works in practice here in a minute. But so kinda, let's see if I can get, oh yeah, just get some light on there, or light in there so you can see it. So it's got a seed plate in there, like a planter, like a plate planter. And this little guy down here is your seed hopper. Or, well, I guess this is a seed hopper, so I guess what would that be the equivalent to on a modern planter? I guess there's really nothing equivalent to it on a modern planter. I guess it would be the equivalent to like a shoe on a runner planter. So basically, and it's 100% functional. The plate still advances and ratchets like it's supposed to. So basically, when you're using it, you got a charge of seed and 2 or 3 kernels of seed in here. You stick it in the ground, and then when it ratchets, it grabs another cog on the seed plate. Your base opens up, it drops the seed in the ground, and then as you pick it back up, it closes your little mouth down there, ratchets the seed plate forward, which drops another charge of seed down in here for your next hit, and then fills the plate back up again. So, see if I can, and don't mind that's the new 42 sprocket for the 7300. So I'll see if I can show you this in practice. So you basically walk along, and you kind of, you time it with your stride. So basically, however long your stride is, would be how far apart your corn hills are. But you'd say we start here, so you'd stick it in the ground, rock forward, that would dump your seed, and then swing forward, and then swing forward, swing forward, and that's, shit, you probably didn't see much of that, did you? Let me try this. Sorry, it's hard to do this in the garage. So, one more time for you. Sorry. We got in the ground. And that's how you plant corn. And if you were just doing it by yourself, you would probably, say for instance, you stuck your seed in the ground there, and then you'd probably have to take your foot like this, say your little divot was right there, and you'd probably take your foot like that and kick your dirt back over your hole. Or you might have your kid or somebody following behind you, having them cover the hills back up, or make a little hill. But yeah, that's... But I thought it was cool that something that old, and look, you can even adjust your seed depth for precision, and then you got multiple handle locations for if you're taller or shorter. So right now we're planting shallow. This is gonna be like a early in the season, need to get it out of the ground, and then as you go later in the season, you bring this up so you can plant it deeper, get down there in that moisture. But I just thought that it was cool that that thing's probably well over 100 years old, and it is still 95% complete because it's missing the hopper lid. Which, looking at pictures, it would be fairly easy. You'd probably have to fabricate one to make it look like an original, because the original one was stamped and it had a dome shape to it, and it had a lip rolled on it, and so you almost have to have some sort of die, or the die, to make it original. But you could probably fabricate one, but you'd never get it to match the patina. So, I mean, I think it's worth just leaving like it is. This piece here, judging by the green on it, must be either brass or copper. Yeah, that's copper. Probably so it's kind of more self-lubricated. But I just thought that was neat. I only gave 15 bucks for it. They had 20 on it. After I got home and started looking at them going on the internet, I probably wish I would have should have said I should have just gave them the 20 for it, because I've seen them going for, of course, what you see them going for and what they actually go for. But I was seeing prices anywhere between 100 and 150 bucks for planters similar to that. I found a copy of found a picture of an original, like, sales, I wouldn't even call it literature. It's like one sheet of paper that has a picture of like a little farm kid with it's a painting, like back when they spent a lot of time and effort on, you know, that turn of the century advertising. They went leaps and bounds ahead of what they do now. But it was a painting of a little farm kid holding what looked like that planter, and it said American Standard and gave some of the features, and it was kind of cool. It'd be cool to find an original one of those. But that was the flea market. There was, I can't remember if I said it. We were at the Flywheelers Museum in South Haven, and this was the first time I just tried making a video on how shitty of a time it was, and I got about halfway into the video and I was so worked up I couldn't even make sense of my own thought. That's the first time I've ever been excited to leave a tractor show. Like, I just wanted it out of that place. We won't go down all the roads of the wheres and whys, but needless to say, me and my buddies are looking for a different September show to go to, because that place is a fucking shit show of it. It just, yeah. I'm not gonna go down because I'm gonna get worked up again, and I don't want to get worked up again. But needless to say, the end of the month there's a show down in Valparaiso, Indiana. It's at the Northern Indiana. I can't remember, Northern Indiana Flywheelers or something like that, but it's down in Valparaiso, just off of 6. And we're going to go down there. It probably take like half a day. I think it's on the 23rd through the 25th, so we might take like a half day on a Saturday or something and buzz down there, not take any tractors or anything, and just see, because we used to go down there when I was a kid, and it was a nice show when I was a kid, and if it's still a decent show, that might be the new show we go to this time of year instead of wasting our time up at South Haven, because like I say, it was a terrible time from the minute we showed up to the minute we left. It was just not... yeah. So, but anyway, I wanted to show you this just because I thought it was kind of cool. I got this. I got a 4-quart, like oil pour can for like filling engines and stuff for $5. And I got 3 Oliver 310 Waukesha oil cooler gasket sets, so the inner and the outer gasket. I got 3 sets of those. New old stock in WFE packets. The flea market up there was just that show used to have the best flea market. It was big. It had a bunch of shit. It had a bunch of stuff in it. This year, I mean, I guess it was okay size. It was down from what I remember it being as a kid. They had taken, it was 3 or 4 rows and turned them into camping, because it used to be the entire front of the show was all flea market. It was like 10 or 12 rows, or 10 or 12 aisles with, you know, down both sides. So 20 or 24 rows of flea market stuff, probably half a mile long. And yeah, it was just terrible. It was like garage sale type shit. Just used to be you go up there, you'd have guys with like parts or manuals and brochures and tractor parts and small engines and hit and miss stuff. And you know, now it's just people taking like shit you'd find at a garage sale. Like there was people up there selling microwaves and used stoves and junk Chinese tools and like stuffed animals, and just there was no farm toys. Used to be a good place to go out and buy farm toys, Tonka toys, stuff like that. I didn't see, there was no farm toys, none. I saw like a couple Tonka toys, and there was a couple like junky toy tractors, but nothing Ertl or True Scale or, you know, nothing like that. I was amazed I found this. I actually had to do 2 walkthroughs before I found this guy. So, yeah, it's just that show. It was not a good time. No good times were had by any. That's all I can say about it. So, it was supposed to be a vacation, and it just turned into a shit. I left more stressed than I was when I went up there. And I'm not going to go down the road of telling you why, because like I say, I tried a little bit ago, and I couldn't do it. I was so fucking worked up. So, but anyhow, I'm sorry, I went into a little bit of a rant. This was supposed to be the main focus of it. So, but this is going to be a, just put it in the house and let it just kind of chill there. And I was hoping, there was a guy down there, he had a couple of, I guess it'd be considered a single tree. It's basically your crossbar for if you had a horse harness. It would be the first crossbar that you went right behind the horse, and you had your lines going up to the neck harness. It would have been that first wooden crossbeam that you would have either hooked to your plow and or hooked into your double tree. And there was a guy up there that had like half a dozen of those, but there was one of them had a really nice like varnished finish on it. And I'm kicking myself for not buying it, but it didn't have a name. It had all the hardware on it. Your harness hooks were on the end, and then the little steel collars that went on the end to keep the harness hooks from busting the wood out, and then it had your center hook and everything. It was all there, but it like didn't have any names or logos on it. And I'd really like to find, what I really want to find is a full double tree with your main spanner and then your 2. I'm not very well versed on my horse harness terminology, but you got your main bar that goes out to your two that you would hook the horses to. That's what I call a double tree. Anyhow, might not be a double. The horse harness people know what I'm talking about. But I'd like to find one that's actually still got original paint on it and still has an original, I don't even care if it's Oliver or IH or whoever. But I'd like to find one that's still got the original stenciling on it so you know what brand it is. The same guy had a plow beam, again, and I wish I would have bought, but the whole time I was standing there looking at it going, what the hell am I going to do with a plow beam? Because it was big. I bet that thing was... It was probably longer than this bench, and I bet in the center at its thickest point, it was probably yay tall and probably yay wide. I mean, it was a big plow beam, and it had a little bit of a... You could see it said Queen on it, and I have never heard of a Queen plow company, so I don't know if it was a model of plow by somebody else. And same thing, I was kicking myself, and if it would have had stenciling on both sides, but it was almost like at some point in its life, it was either like inside of a barn with one side facing out towards the sun, or was laying in a dirt or something, because one side still had paint and that stenciling on it and the other side had nothing. It was kind of, I guess it wasn't really rotten, but it's, you know, that look that sun or wood gets to it when it gets sun baked and the grains kind of tighten up and you get your stress cracks and stuff, and that's what the other side looked like. And I was like, I don't really know where I'm going to put it to display it nice, and that one side's kind of fucked up, and he wanted $5 for it. I probably should have bought it, but I don't know. Live and learn. I know what I want, and I'm kind of holding out for what I want was the biggest reason. Same guy had some antique chainsaws too, and I wish I would have bought one of them. One of my friends actually ended up buying two of them. He bought a old Homelite, and by old I mean like you had to be a man to pick this bastard up. It was red and green, all steel, aluminum handle. I bet it probably had a 26 or 28 inch bar on it. I mean, it was a big saw. And then he bought a what is it, a Wright, the one that was like an oversized Sawzall, had like the 20 or 24 inch long tapered Sawzall blade on it. He bought one of them. Gave $40 for both saws. I was like, shit, if I knew that was all he was gonna ask, I should have asked the guy. If I knew he was selling them that cheap, I'd have bought one, because I want an old chainsaw like that just to tinker with. And then he had a what the hell was it? It was a big two-man, had like a 50 or a 56 inch bar on it, big two-man log saw with the swivel head, so you can either stand it up for sawing standing up or swivel the head for cutting a tree down. I tried picking up just the power head end of it, and it's like, oh my god, you had to be a bear to wrestle this thing around the woods all day. Start with an M. It was a Mallory or a Malloy or something like that. It was a red, the power head, and then the handle on the end were on the end of the bar, they were red, if that helps anybody out. And it started with an M. I want to say it was a Mallory or a Molly, something along them lines. But he wanted $500 for that, and it didn't even run. I was like, Jesus. If it was a 100% fully functioning, running, put some two-stroke gas in it and run it saw, I'd have probably gave him $500 for it, because you're going to be hard pressed to pay $500 for a brand new. What's the big steel? An 990 or an 880, whatever the big steel is like a $600 or a $1,600 saw. Actually, it might be more than that. But I mean, you got 3 times what the steel's biggest saw is, and you're only going to get $500 for it, but it didn't run, so. And where the hell do you go to find parts for it? Because I'm sure they built their own motor. But one of these days I'm gonna have an old chainsaw too, just to tinker around with. But like I say, hopefully, because that showdown in Valparaiso when I was a kid, they had like 40 or 50 acres down there for field demonstrations. I think they bound corn, and then they'd go in and they'd plow it and disc it. And they had a pulling track that they had just put in a couple years before we quit going. And it was really nice, kind of rolly showgrounds, and they do I think this year they're featuring Cockshut Co-op, if I remember right, because I looked on their website. And they had some nice buildings down there, and they had a flea market area, had a lot of toy vendors. So, but it's probably been, shit, at least 15 years since I've been down there. So I'm really hoping that it doesn't disappoint like South Haven did, because South Haven really disappointed. So, anyhow, this has gotten way longer than what I wanted for just showing off this planter. So, sorry about that. I kind of had to rant and show this off at the same time. So, tomorrow we'll come back to you. I'm gonna get the, I might have to go pick up, I have some tires and rims that had given to me. I gotta go pick those up. Some 38s, 18-438s. The tires are junk, but I wanted the dual rims because the dual rims were good, and they got reinforcing rings welded in them already. And then they got some Terra tires down there on rims. Can't even remember the size. They're the ones that would have been on the back of like a, I don't know if they're as big as the ones that would have been on the back of I call it an El Toro, but because not all 1950s with the floater tires for the El Toro, that was only the ones that got sent to Central America, but would have been on the rear tires on that option package. I can't remember, they had a goofy tire size, but there's a set of those on rims, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with them, but he said come get them, I want them gone, they're free. And it's kind of hard to turn that down because just the rims are like $500 a piece if you find them. So I have to go get those. But anyway, tomorrow I'd like to start working on the corn head. So we got to get that back on the 7300. I got to get that sprocket put on, and we'll be back to your regularly scheduled broadcast. So sorry this video got long. It wasn't intended to be, but that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.